So with Belichick, Andy Reid is in position where he can do some. He's not that far behind Belichick in career wins. And he's going to be even closer next year if Reid comes back and Belichick is still on the outside looking in. I guess what I'm getting at is, are you surprised Belichick, who put out his full-page ad in the Boston Globe, thank you to the New England fans, Belichick is shut out of this coaching cycle. And for the record, Bill Belichick was replaced by Gerard Mayo, a guy he drafted in 2008. So you're replaced by Gerard Mayo, and you're passed over. And you didn't get the job, Raheem Morris did. So Gerard Mayo takes your job. Raheem Morris takes the job that you wanted. Okay,
you making it sound bad too.
It's bad. I just want you to just rest it. Let that marinate for a second. You draft a guy, he takes your job, and then you want a job. Raheem Morris gets it. So, are you surprised that Bill Belichick is in this situation where he's out of the league? His offensive coordinator, unless something changes here soon, is the OC now at Ohio State. His defensive coordinator, his son, is the DC at Washington.
Yeah.
You are out of a job and your guys are sent to college.
It is a shock.
I mean, it's like it's a repudiation of you and your tree.
It really,
wow.
Right, it is. And I think when you look at it, though, I'm surprised because it's Bill Belichick, right? You just think the league would look at him and somebody has to have him. But was there a situation that made sense for what Bill Belichick is right now? He's not a roster builder. That was his downfall in New England.
Clearly.
So was there a place...
He used to be, but not anymore.
...that was going to give him... We don't know if he wanted roster control in Atlanta, who has a lot of people in place that's...
Smart money says yes.
Smart money says
yes.
yes.
I think a lot of it had to do with...
You can't give him that now.
Right, exactly. Especially coming off these 4 seasons that he did. Now, if they would have just kept rolling on, without Tom Brady, he'd still be there. So we wouldn't even be talking about this. But I think it more so has to do with, the control that he possibly warrants. Maybe it got to the point where the Falcons were just like, we just going in a different cultural direction. Like, the way Bill Belichick, how he run the show. Well, maybe the Falcons and a younger team want to go a different route, and maybe Bill Belichick just didn't fit that particular mode. And it wasn't about his knowledge or talent or anything of that sort. It was just they wanted to go in a different direction.
The one you could have saw, right, if it happened, would have been Dallas. Because now, I don't know, him and Jerry seem very water and oil to me, but Jerry likes the splash. That's a roster that you hear Jerry's quotes now. Like, they are all in on winning next year.
Yeah.
That's the one where you could see why it would make sense if those two can coexist from a football standpoint.
2 big alpha dogs.
Exactly.
Right there.
And that job didn't open.
But I from an Atlanta perspective, so you just go back at the beginning of the year. It's funny because I think when we get into the hiring cycle, people do things that don't make a lot of sense. And they do it so fast. These things happen so fast.
Yeah, they do.
It makes sense to them. But then if you just step back and you say it out loud, you say, well, why the hell did they do that? Why did they do that? So if I said to you at the beginning of the 2023 season, okay, Arthur Smith is going into his 3rd year in Atlanta. If they don't make the playoffs, he's going to be fired. And Bill Belichick's going to be available for the Atlanta Falcons, but they're going to go back to the guy who was their interim coach a few years ago, Raheem Morris. Bill Belichick is going to want to go to Atlanta, but Atlanta is going to say no thanks to Bill Belichick, and they're going to take Raheem Morris. I mean,
as a dude from there, I'd rather it be this way, to be honest.
Right.
Really?
Raheem.
I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong.
I think,
what?
I don't think it's wrong.
My top 2, I feel like this for Atlanta: Jim Harbaugh, Raheem Morris, or you ain't getting your guy.
Jim Harbaugh, I understand.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh, I understand. Clear, like the record everywhere he's been.
Yeah.
Everywhere he's been, he's won, and he wins with a style that translates. See, Jim Harbaugh is he's a college coach who's not a trendy college coach. There are some college coaches we said that's a gimmick. That's not going to work in the league.
Yeah.
Like when Steve Spurrier came into football, that's not going to work. Chip Kelly came into football, that's not going to work, and eventually catch up.
Look at Cliff Kingsbury.
That's not going to work. Jim Harbaugh's gimmick is hey, we're going to kick your ass.
Yep. Run the ball and play defense.
That's it.
Yep.
That's what we're going to do.
And it works everywhere.
It's going to be powerful. We're going to hurt you. You're going to feel us. Whether we win or not, you're going to come out of that game with some bruises. That travels. Raheem Morris, happy for him.
And he brought all his dogs with him too. Zach Robinson, he brought the whole crew from LA, so he feeling good.
I just want to point out too, historically. So way back in the day, before any of us were on the earth, way back, the Atlanta Falcons, they were first starting out, they had a choice of head coaches, and they could have picked Vince Lombardi or somebody else. They picked somebody else.
They took the field.
Hey, that's just how they do.
Yep.
But you know what?
That's right. That's what they did.
I wouldn't have been mad back then.
Yes, you would have.
No. I'm talking about when Raheem Morris was the intern, because Dan Quinn started off 0-5, Morris went 4-7, and then they hired Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
I was cool with Arthur Smith at the time, but I wouldn't have been mad either if Morris would have got his shot then. So maybe they just saying, hey, we might have messed up that time. Let's go ahead and try this again. He's been a good coordinator the past couple of years. He's going to bring his guys. Let's see what happens.
And I think they can coexist. Raheem Morris can with the people in place there, right? That's the big thing there. You know, Terry Fontenot, the GM, who's done a good job. It's a good roster.
They got players.
Yeah.
They got the players.
Yeah, you mentioned the front office. I think there's some self-preservation in there, too.
100%.
It's not just like, wait a minute. No, Bill Belichick comes in. I heard these stories. I've seen his movies, as Vinny Goodwill
I know.
Say.
I'm going to be out in the streets.
I've seen his movies.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The draft philosophy would be totally different, too.
Draft philosophy, but then also you're not around for the draft philosophy because he's clearing everybody out.
That's right.
He's going to bring in his crew.
Like Arthur Blank, let's think about this
for
a minute. Let's all get together and talk this one through.
Arthur, I don't. You got time for dinner? Let's have dinner, Arthur.
I'll even do a coffee. Just give me time.
Right. But some of the coaching hires across the league, and I think we're witnessing just like a change in philosophy league-wide. So I just did this chart a few days ago, just looking at it. It's amazing. Like in the last 10 years, there are five different offensive coordinators who have coordinated Super Bowl winning offenses, okay, who are unemployed. In the last 10 years, I'm not talking about, you won a Super Bowl in 2002 or 2005.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years. So Josh McDaniels is one of them, unemployed. Eric Bieniemy, who just
that one is wild there.
Got pushed aside by Cliff Kingsbury. Byron Leftwich. Whatever happened to Byron Leftwich?
That one fizzled out quick.
I want to know.
Fizzled out quick.
Off the grid. So
they were talking about him for head coaching job.
Absolutely. Like it was a lock.
Yeah.
Frank Reich, OC, 2017. And the other one, okay, you especially those of you watching and listening in Seattle, I apologize for the name I'm about to throw out there now. Darrell Bevell. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a great play by Malcolm Butler. It was a great play at the 1 yard line.
Throw that in there at the one.
Yeah. So Bevell was one of, and here's another one. The year before, a couple years before, Jim Caldwell. So I think the league is going after, if you are from the McVay tree, if you're from the Shanahan tree, even if you haven't called plays, and generally, if you're from those trees, you haven't. Because those guys are calling the offense. They're calling the plays. You get credit even over those who are still active, still viable. I think the league is kind of like, no, we want something new.
Look at Brian Callahan right now. He just got hired by the Titans. He didn't call plays for the Bengals.
Right.
But he's well-respected. His dad comes over. His dad's the best offensive line coach in the league, so he brings his pops to them.
Sir.
I mean, that's the kind of resume teams are looking for right now. And yet the variance and the risk is higher with those hires, but they'd rather still swing that way than go with what you know, that Lawrence probably isn't aging too well with a lot of the guys he named.
You want the upside.
Right, exactly.
And it's why another guy, Mike Vrabel, he's out in these streets right now.
Imagine, Mike Vrabel.
And it's because, like, people probably looking at Vrabel from a point of, well, we saw the past 6 years. We know we'll get there. We got some ceiling with Callahan, so that's what they're going after.
I just want to point out that the Falcons picked Mike Vrabel. I mean, they picked Raheem Morris over Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick.
See, man,
You can't wrap your head around this one.
Hey, from the McVay tree, even though he on defense.
We'll be here tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.